All right, welcome everybody to another edition of Firehouse Table Talk. I'm your host, Scott Jones, and I want to apologize for stepping out of the screen for a moment there. We've had some of our famous South Jersey storms, which screws up all the electronics, but we are here, and we're here talking today once again with the Palm Beach Gardens Fire and Rescue team, and our favorite guy, Chief Keith Bryer. Chief, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you so much. I appreciate you asking. It's been we've been doing this show for a little while now. And have you gotten any kind of responses or people talking about what we're trying to send out, the messages and everything?
You know, I actually do. I get typically once it airs, I'll get some texts, some phone calls about people who really just appreciate. Mostly it's your effort and bringing our issues forward and getting out there into the community. So it's well appreciated.
Well, we do appreciate it. We love working with you guys. And of course, anything that we can do at Addiction Training Center to be of service to the people and first responders, especially our friends up there at Palm Beach Gardens. We're all so happy to do it here. Karen and I love you guys. We think you do a great job. And we want to thank you for your service and everything you do.
Well, thank you very much. And again, thank you for everything you guys do for us in the fire service in general.
Now, we got a great show we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking to a couple of people, that you work with, very special, and we're going to be talking about physical health and wellness. But before we do that, just a very quick message. We're coming up on Christmas, and we're coming up on Thanksgiving and holidays. Are there any things that people should, I don't know if maybe it's a standard firefighter message, things people should be safe with this holiday season, my friend?
Yeah, so our two standards are if during Thanksgiving, if you are going to deep fry a turkey, don't do it in the middle of your living room. Take it outside, make sure that the grease doesn't overflow and set your house on fire. And Christmas, it's all about don't overload your circuits, make sure your Christmas tree is dry, unplug it at night. We have all that stuff on our website that's available. So if anybody goes to the city, PBGFR.com, go to fire. We'll pull up all those holiday safety tips on there. But, just be careful because, an overloaded socket or a turkey spilling over into your living room and setting your house on fire could really ruin your whole holiday. So
you're not actually telling me that you've seen somebody actually try to deep fry a turkey indoors. Have you've seen this?
In their living room.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. You got me on that one. King of the bad decisions right there. That's not good. All right. So everybody be safe and know that they've got your back and at Palm Beach Gardens Fire and Rescue. Now we're going to bring in our guests. We have Alex McCall and Dr. Jeanna Hill, and we're going to have them join us right now. And, Chief, why don't you tell us a little bit about who these two people are?
Yeah, so, we've had this conversation before, me and you, about how rough this profession is on your health, right? Physically, mentally, and emotionally. So anything that we can do to kind of offset those things, right, as far as health and wellness. Alex is the chair of our Health and Wellness Committee, and Dr. Hill has done extensive work with us as far as getting our people back up and preventing injuries, and when they get injured, getting them back out into the field. They're both uniquely qualified. They're both dedicated to what they do. And quite frankly, we're lucky. I'm lucky, and the personnel are lucky that we have them, helping us out in all our health and wellness things that we do.
That's great. Now, I guess let me start out with Alex real quick. Alex, how long have you been with the Palm Beach Gardens Fire?
I've been with Palm Beach Gardens Fire since 2010. I started out as a volunteer and then hired as a full-time employee at the City of Palm Beach Gardens as a firefighter just a couple years after that.
Now, how did you get involved in the end of the business with the health and the wellness? I mean, was there a calling for that, or did you just kind of fall into it?
To be truthful, it was just an opportunity that presented themselves. Chief Bryer asked if I'd like to be involved with the committee. Absolutely. I would love to help our firefighters out. And it just kind of morphed into where we are today. So I'm very excited and very happy that he gave me this opportunity.
And do you think, I guess, working with it now, is there a more awareness now than there's ever been before about taking care of your health and wellness?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest things that people fail to realize is that when the fire service started out, it really was just about the running in of burning buildings while everybody else was running out. Over the years, we've started to learn how important it is to actually have that health and wellness to help prolong our careers, and more importantly, after our career, when we have the retirement phase where we get to enjoy ourselves. But just having that health and that proper nutrition and that wellness of just the behavioral health alone plays a huge role in our jobs.
Well, I mean, you are talking about superiorly stressful jobs for one, and also completely unreliable as far as you can't expect to eat every time at the same day and sleep every time at the same day and do all of that. So you've got to find tricks with nutrition and health to work around those things, don't you?
But we do, and for the most part, we do a pretty good job. We do a lot of meals that can be prepped early. A lot of crock pot meals. The hardest thing is to make sure that they're nutritional. They have the nutritional values that we can have or we can use to better ourselves in our career. But I will say this: we are trying to implement a healthier options. We're in the midst of hopefully hiring a nutritionist to help us be a little bit more beneficial in the kitchen. We are worrying about portion control. We're worrying about the right types of foods that are going to our bodies and the wrong type of foods that are going to our bodies. That's really what our focus is when it comes to nutrition. But as far as eating habits or eating times, unfortunately it can be random, especially when you don't get to eat dinner until 2 o'clock in the morning. So you end up eating something from the hospital, which may not be the best thing for you, but at least provides some sort of nutritional value.
That's what Denny's is for.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Dr. Jeanna Hill, how long have you been working with Palm Beach Gardens?
So I met Chief Bryer, probably about 2018, when I actually saw him as a patient and had asked me to come in and maybe speak about some injury prevention. I'm a spine specialist by trade, so that's what I was focusing on initially, and then it kind of morphed into other types of injury prevention the more that I learned about firefighting. So obviously I'm a firefighter, but learning about the taxing job that they have to do and be ready to do that throughout their entire career is very important for them to keep a certain level of fitness and nutrition and wellness, so that way they can get to their retirement age healthy.
Well, this must be music to your ears, what Alex was talking about, that there's more attention being paid to this, and that they really starting to realize for longevity, for health, for basic, even performance, this nutrition and wellness is so important. So you must love hearing that from people.
Absolutely. My whole life I've been interested in wellness, athletics, obviously medicine as well, but there's a lot of different aspects to it. So there's a lot of different professionals that need to be involved in getting a whole package to, anyone that has a high stress job, a high taxing job physically, and they have to maintain that for a good 20 plus years. So there's a lot that does go into it, and it's great that with the internet and everything, it's a lot more accessible now than it was, say 20 years ago.
Well, that's good. Have you found it to be rewarding personally to be working with first responders?
Absolutely. So I personally grew up in a big military family, so I find a lot of similarities between military and fire service. So I like the mentality of, and myself personally, what I do for work is I give to others, and that's what the military and the fire does as well. So I definitely find that rewarding to help those people, because those people don't always put themselves first, because their main role is to help others. So to be able to help them is definitely rewarding to me.
That's excellent. Keith Bryer, you once again, you're hitting me with two fabulous people that you're blessed to be working with, and I'm sure you always are proud of the people around you. How important is this role become, paying attention to not just the psychological, which you and I talk about all the time, but the physical well-being? How important has that become to you and the department as a whole?
Well, for me in my career, I've had to see probably 7 or 8 firefighters have to leave a job, completely pension out on a disability for a job that they loved. Having to have that conversation and having to say to somebody, listen, thanks for your last 10 years of service. And unfortunately, because of your physical injuries, you're not going to be able to do this job. I mean, it's a physical job. So I've had those conversations with people. And quite frankly, I don't ever want to have another one with any of my personnel ever again. So the more that we could do up front, the more that we can get them with the Dr. Hills and Alex's committee, the less likely that is to happen. So it's very, very important. Right now, it's probably the main focus that you see in most fire departments is health and wellness of their personnel.
And let's talk about, from the top end in administration and, of course, cost to the city and everything else. A healthier, more fit firefighter is less likely for injury, and that way less likely to be of cost. So the investment in their health now pays dividends down the road, doesn't it?
Absolutely, 100%. In fact, when I met Dr. Hill as a patient, and I think I crawled into her office, and I think I actually walked out after the first visit. But in time over talking with her, we were going over some of the data, and she was a spine specialist. And something that was interesting is the average back injury for us. This isn't even including somebody that had to go for surgery. Just the average person that tweaked their back cost the city about $76,000 just for that one incident. So in kind of talking with her a little bit, she had a lot of great ideas. When I first asked her to come in, she did about a half-hour lecture on back injury, and then took everybody out and talked about body mechanics. She's a little bit uniquely qualified in the fact that not only is she a doctor of physical therapy, but she's also a strength and conditioning specialist, and she's also a certified athletic trainer. She is a Olympic weightlifting coach. So she was kind of really uniquely qualified for us. So when she came in, what was interesting is the first thing she said is, I want to come and I just kind of want to see what you guys do. I want to see the equipment and I want to see how you use it, and develop this whole program, which we do annually. And then it actually morphed into her doing functional firefighter fitness training videos for our people once a month. So that kind of morphed into, just a simple conversation, and a little bit of a back injury kind of really sparked our whole health and wellness program.
That's incredible. Dr. Hill, I want to talk to you about the preventative side of that, because that's so important. But first, Alex, I think what people don't realize is that injuries and possibilities for injuries exist in so many areas other than what they may think about when it comes to the fire department. It's not just when you're in a burning building. I mean, every day you're moving things, you're doing physical activities that could be harmful if you're not careful. Is that right?
It is, and I'll tell you, we're very fortunate. The city of Palm Beach Gardens, what they do is they invest in people. They invest in their employees. We have a health and wellness center. We have a health and wellness initiative. We've got a committee that basically is formed by 7 people that are just absolutely amazing, that have the biggest hearts for what their department really, what they want to see move to, or they just want to help get them to that one step where they can just feel comfortable in their own skin when it comes to their physical. Because we do have some people in the fire service throughout the nation that need that help. But we are so fortunate to be working for the city of Palm Beach Gardens because of everything they do for us. And by doing, and I love this, by us being healthier makes us better firefighters. We all know that. But what it does, it helps us protect and serve our community. It helps us get home to our families, which is very important. And it helps us protect each other. A lot of people don't realize that there are a lot of things that happen throughout the shift that could hurt us. It's not just about, you're right, running into burning buildings. It's running into a medical call. We're lifting, we're pushing, we're pulling, we're dragging. We're doing a lot a lot of functional movements that can really seriously hurt you. So somebody like Dr. Hill would come in and do a back prevention, and she would do an injury prevention. She would do proper lifting techniques and give us the opportunity to, and I'm sure that some firefighters already know, what they're doing, but we're also targeting the people that don't, or the people that do make mistakes because they're rushing. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to change the culture of the fire service as a whole, not just by the lower 5% or the upper 5%. We're trying to change as a whole to learn how to be smooth as fast, right? And controlled movements are key to when you're doing things, especially on day-to-day operations. So yes, absolutely. There are so many other things that play a contributing factor on injuries. So we're trying to prevent ourselves as best we possibly can throughout that shift.
And I would imagine, Alex, there's a reduction in stress when you are properly, you have the proper nutrition going, you have the proper physical regimen to keep yourself healthy, so that when you go into a situation, you're not stressing about your own abilities. Does that play a part in this too?
Absolutely. I think the number one thing is mental toughness. I always go back to the mental side first. If you're physically strong but mentally weak, that's a bad combination. It's a collective. You have to have it all. But once you have that mental side, you're able to help mitigate that situation. The physical does come into play. You got to be healthy, because if you're not healthy, you become a problem, not the solution.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Hill, you met Keith Bryer, through a treatment scenario, but now you're coming in as, let's do what we can to avoid those treatment scenarios. We've all touched on it a little bit, and I'd like you to kind of feed a little bit more into that. Is how much do people really not understand about being proactive with your health?
Well, that's the thing. I think, when we're in our 20s and fit and active, it's kind of the common situation. You don't think it'll happen to you. I can't tell you how many brand new dads at 25, 30 that come in and they picked up the trash can or the 5-pound baby the wrong way. And now I'm seeing them. So it's always the things that you don't really think too much about and are just kind of, quick movements that affect you. But to Alex's point, I think awareness is the most important thing. So the more that I talk about it, or the more that I can educate people about it, then people are more aware to avoid putting themselves in a, compromisable position to have an injury. And that's just like with firefighting. There's so many objects. I mean, they're lifting unevenly weighted items, they're lifting people, all of those things are uneven, and you can practice a perfectly set up deadlift 500 times and do it fine. But when you're in a situation where you're not necessarily thinking about yourself, you're trying to rescue someone or help someone else, you move too quickly, and that's where issues can occur. But the more that they know about that possibility, and the more they know, quick ways to fix their positioning for it, the chances of injury, lessen.
Well, you made a great point, and I think that we can't emphasize this enough. There are so many opportunities, as Alex said and I said, to get injured, whether it's moving a hose or setting up a ladder or anything. I mean, like you said, I know a lot of people that one guy I know who is actually permanently paralyzed from picking up a matchbook off a floor because he stood up wrong. There's always those instances, and you train, so you know how to lift, you know how to do that. But at that moment, when you're fully geared up, which is an uncomfortable situation, there's an urgency, there's all those things going on. How do we marry that physical training with our mental ability? Where does that marriage happen, and how do we achieve that?
That's a tough one. There is always, I tell people all the time, I treat the brain just as much as I treat the body. So it always has to be that connection. But there is also moments in time where you are serving someone else, whether it be firefighting or helping your child or someone else, where you don't think about yourself. So there is always that opportunity for something to go wrong to help someone else. And I think it all comes down to, brain body memory at that point. And if you train in a way that has a good mechanic, a good form, then your body will automatically know to do that in a time of need.
And I think we've talked, Chief, you and I have talked about before that there's a constant training regimen going on. And this is one of the reasons for that, is so that when things happen, it's an automatic response for you to do things the proper way. And it's the same thing with this, with wellness and taking care of yourself, right?
Absolutely. The more they can practice using good body mechanics and they get that muscular memory and that just kind of doing it over and over again, or just even being conscious about it. So, when these guys go out in the field, a lot of times they're in the middle of stairwells trying to take a large patient on a stretcher down. They can't always be in those ideal situations, but knowing I got to brace my core, and getting enough people and positioning ourselves and slow down a little bit, because if one of us goes, we're all going to go down these steps. Just to be able to do that constant and have that constant reminder of good body mechanics. And then on the other end of that, making sure that you have a strong core and you have flexibility and you have mobility. Our jobs, it's hard enough sometimes in the positions, and then put bunker gear on and, 60 pounds of gear, and it limits your mobility. So there's issues that compound on top of that. So just being aware and training under those circumstances is going to definitely help in the long run.
Dr. Hill, you've been able to spend some time with these great people, the firefighters and stuff. And how are they responding to having somebody come in and teaching them about this stuff? Are you finding that this is something that the individuals actually do want for themselves? Do they see the value?
I believe so. I think also when you entice the idea that you want to get to retirement not in a ton of pain and be able to enjoy your retirement, it's a little bit more appealing to do these things in your 20s, 30s. Maybe not that you need that at that particular moment, but it's going to get you through your, long-term career. And it's a hard job from the start to the end. And some of the work that Chief Bryer and I did was we looked at the testing annually for firefighters. And there's a great test, the CPAT test, to enter as a firefighter. But not all departments in the nation have incumbent firefighting testing. So I think it's something that's important, because that makes sure that, you're able to do that job, not at all to kick anyone out, but you want to make sure that those firefighters that you've invested in for your department are safe throughout their career. And the goal, I think Chief Bryer can talk about this, but the goal is to get people to retirement and have them have a good career, and you don't want them injured throughout the process.
Absolutely. I think that's why the Health and Wellness Committee is in place. Isn't that right, Alex? It's because you want to create kind of an addition to the firefighter culture. And part of that is being self-aware and help yourself with your wellness, right?
Absolutely. Education is king. And when going back and talking about those movements that could be preventative, what we've done is we've actually started a firefighter functional fitness for the City of Palm Beach Gardens Fire Department. And basically it's job-specific movements, working out, that will allow them to create those, or it's almost like muscle memory, but they create those proper lifts and they don't even know they're really doing it. I mean, they understand they're doing it, but once they go on to the job, and if we're in a situation where we need to lift a ladder very quickly because we've got somebody on the second or third floor that needs some sort of rescue, we can still throw that ladder in the proper format because of all of the functional movements that we did during our workouts. So it's a pretty special thing that what we've got going on here. And yes, the CPAT, the cool thing about Palm Beach Gardens is that we did institute what we call the GPAT, and it's our Gardens Physical Aptitude Test, and it just allows us to gauge on where we are as a department physically. And I'm happy to say, and very, very proud to say, that I believe that everybody passed our physical aptitude test, and they did it with flying colors. So what we're doing is working. and we don't want to stop. You don't just stop at the moon. You want to keep going further, right? So we don't want to stop here. We want to keep improving and getting better as the years progress.
I'm in awe of what you guys are doing. And Chief, coming back to you, you and myself and Karen and ATC with Palm Beach Gardens, we're putting a lot of focus on things like addiction and things like problems with addiction, alcoholism, mental health. You've already been instituting helping and peer supports and stuff. Now you've got this stuff going on into health and wellness and paying attention to this. I want to ask you a really simple question. Why isn't everybody doing this? It seems to me like this should be a standard throughout the country, that if you're a firefighter, you're in this role, you should be getting every bit of care possible. Why isn't everybody doing it?
I would have to say that any fire chief wants the best for their personnel, right? They want to make sure that they're healthy, that they can do the job, they retire healthy, right? It's our number one asset. I think a lot of times other departments aren't as well funded. We're very fortunate, we're well funded, but there's always something that can be done. So it might not be done at the scale that we're doing it. We do pretty comprehensive annual physicals. Our physicals every year are 3 hours. Guy goes in and he's in a physical for 3 hours, guy or girl. But, I think it's a lot of times it just has to do with, funding to be able to put those programs and moving them forward. So we're very lucky and we can put those forward and in place. There's other departments that can't, but you could always do something to better the health of your personnel.
Absolutely. And I'm hoping that maybe some other people are watching this throughout the country, different departments and stuff. Dr. Hill, you don't need an organized situation, although it's better if you had one, but you don't need an organized situation for you to personally take care of your own health. What are some things you could tell people that are on their own? Maybe their department hasn't adopted all of these things. What can you tell them that they could do for themselves?
Well, like we've been talking about with wellness, there's a lot of different assets to it. My specialty is physical fitness within that. So I would say that the training that needs to be done has to be specific to firefighters. So, if you're going into the gym doing bicep curls and bench press, that doesn't really simulate picking up a body off the ground or, doing firefighting specific activities. So the training needs to be at a level of intensity that can simulate a fire call. The motions need to simulate things that they actually have to do day to day. Then again, they also have to be careful about doing it on shifts so they don't exhaust themselves and they're able to go out on a call and do that on that day. So there is some things that you need to do off shift as well to maintain the fitness and the level of activity that you need to maintain that job status. There's other things like you mentioned, mental health, nutrition, all of those things have to be a whole package for that person to, fully be well capable of the job. But I can just speak specifically for the physical aspect of it.
Excellent. Alex, what would you like to see happen? And, you take the ball, you run with the committee and the Health and Wellness Committee. Where would you like to see it go? What is your do you have like a thought about what I'd love to see down the road?
Absolutely. And I think that we've got a good foundation started, and I think that we're moving in the right direction. But the committee's main focuses are to conduct research, for the department. It's also to make recommendations on where we can make improvements, and also to gather information from the men and women that work in our department. But it's also to help improve job performance. And within that committee, our job is to come up with ways that we all can it's like a synergy type thing. We want to all be able to work together on that common goal. Right now, currently, we're getting ready to launch our website. And our website is a tool. It's another tool that gets put in the toolbox. It's something it's information. Remember, knowledge is king. Education is king. Information is just the most important thing when it comes to any type of profession, especially in this one, because it's continuing education on a constant basis. And So what we're doing, and we're moving in a direction of creating a more informative website for the department, but as well as for others. You know, we talked about, I think you asked Chief Bryer about, you know, why are not all departments moving in this direction? And one of them is funding. And our chief was nice enough not to password protect this website so others can enjoy it as well. And within this website, it'll have that proper nutrition. It'll have the workouts. We're doing the functional movements. We're also part of the cancer research. We're moving into the behavioral health. We already have a behavioral health with the peer support committee with Palm Beach Gardens. So we're not moving slowly. We're moving pretty quick. Chief Bryer has done a great job on giving us the things that we need in order to be more successful in our profession. But I would like to see this, and I'm not looking for compliance throughout the nation. I get that we're always fighting against that uphill battle. But if you can change just a few along the way and somehow it starts to spread, and now you see more firefighters being able to enjoy their retirement. After all, they get to enjoy the fruits of their labor. I mean, this is a very stressful, demanding job. If I'm not mistaken, out of the 10 most deadliest jobs, firefighting is number 3.
Yeah.
And it's a stressful job. So as the Health and Wellness Committee, not just the chairman, not just part of the committee, and as a firefighter, our job is to reduce injury. We're trying to reduce cardiovascular disease, or at least the risk factors involved in it. And we're trying to become better mentally. And that's what my goal is. My goal is to at least give our department and other departments who can't possibly afford or maybe not have the monetary values that they can pay for this type of stuff, give them the opportunities to be more successful at life.
And this goes beyond the job, because when somebody starts to truly learn about both physical health and mental health and all sorts of wellness, that tends to come back to the family as well. So we actually see family units actually strengthening through this. Is that your experience as well, Alex?
It is. It's a great thing when you have COVID was a very terrible time. It really was. But it also brought families together. And I don't know if you noticed, but if you drive around some neighborhoods, you might see families working out together. And you might see some of those functional movements that we do today, because people are bringing that workout, they're bringing it home. Even though that COVID era was a terrible time for everybody, and we lost a lot of wonderful people. But it also brought out some families that maybe didn't get a chance to talk to each other and hang out with each other and work out together. My family alone, we worked out quite often during the COVID.
In some senses, it did bring out the best of us. I agree in some ways. Dr. Hill, do you also find that to be true? I mean, when you start adopting physical regimens for work and you're at the department, but you say you carry that home too. Now you're not going to do the same exercises at home with your kids that you're doing at the fire station, or at least please don't do that. But do you find that when people are trying to adopt a healthier physical lifestyle, that involving the family is a positive thing?
Absolutely. And it goes into all assets. I mean, just from getting enough sleep at night, drinking enough water. I mean, all of those things, you can't be your best self and perform physically if you don't have all of those other things in line. And I think the other thing that COVID did help with, and it's been transitioning over the years, but also people are more willing to ask for help if they need it now. So it's not a weakness to say, hey, I need help. Something's going wrong in whatever, fashion it is for them personally. But I think people are more willing to get help if they need in any of those things, whether it's physical, mental, nutrition, anything now, which is great. And with the internet and everything with COVID, we're all online now. So all of those resources are available, which is great.
Chief, I'm telling you, I think you're working towards the healthiest department in the United States, and that would be a nice thing to have on your on a plaque, wouldn't it?
That would be the most important thing. Yeah. So, you know what, we spend a lot of time when I can get subject matter experts like Dr. Hill, and I can get dedicated personnel like Alex and the people that serve on the committee. everybody benefits from that. Me and you have this conversation a lot. All I have to do is find the best people and just let them do what they do. And it always works. So this is just another example of that.
Now, obviously, you're not magically making all this happen. I'm sorry to take away the mystique, but there are committees, there are people, there are politicians. There's a lot of people involved in getting funding to your department and do different things. Is there anybody out there you want to thank for supporting the Palm Beach Gardens Fire Department all this time in these kind of programs?
Well, it all comes down to the city council. It comes down to the city manager. That funding has to be approved by them. So we submit that budget every year, and then, that budget has to be approved. But in the city particularly, not just fire, rescue, police, but all the employees, they are really very interested in employee health. We have our own health and wellness clinic here in the city. They're constantly doing events to promote health and wellness. So it's adopted not just in the fire department, but really citywide. But that all really comes down from the city manager and the city council.
And hats off to them for supporting these kind of things. And of course, there's so much more to be done in the future, but we're heading in that direction. I think Alex said this is, we're learning a lot, and this is a starting point, but there's so much more to do. And places like Palm Beach Gardens Fire and Rescue, who care so much about their people, about their communities, this is where we see this great stuff happen. My hat's off to all of you guys. You guys are fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
We're going into the holidays, so I want to give everybody a chance to say happy holidays or give any wishes that they would love to give before we close out the show. We're going to start with you, Alex. Any messages for the holiday season?
Absolutely. Enjoy each other. Enjoy your families. Enjoy the people that you hold so dear to your heart. I've got 150 firefighters on top of the family that I have at home that I hold dear to my heart. So I want to just extend a happy holidays to everybody who I work with and everybody who's at home just thinking about me. Excellent.
Dr. Hill?
Thank you. Yeah, I would just say enjoy the time that you have with family. Time is precious these days. And I'd like to thank everyone for the opportunities that I've been given. And even though I'll be far away from my family, I will be there soon. So yeah, time is precious.
Excellent. And Chief Bryer, any messages for your people, your family, or your community?
Well, to everybody, I want everybody to have a happy and, more importantly, safe holiday. Be there with family, reach out, take this time, love each other. To my crews, we wish them all the best holiday season. Why a lot of people are home enjoying their holidays. A lot of our personnel here are working, making sure they're safe. So I want to just do a shout out to those who will be working on the holidays. We appreciate everything that you guys do, and stay safe.
Well, thank you very much. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today on Firehouse Table Talk. We could go on for hours with all of this, and certainly we will revisit this in the future. But for now, I want to thank our guest, Alex McCall, who's with the Health and Wellness Committee for Palm Beach Garden Fire and Rescue, Dr. Jeanna Hill, bringing in this great information and great regiments for people to physically care for themselves and hopefully like you said, retire happy, safe, and healthy. And Chief Bryer, as always, your dedication, the way you honor your people is always, I'm in awe of the work you do, and we appreciate everything. So I want to thank you guys all for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. We want to wish you and Karen as well happy, healthy holidays. Thanks for everything you do. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And from Addiction Training Center, the ATC Network, and Karen and myself, happy holidays to everyone. And please, it's been a tough couple of years, but the only thing that really matters at the end of it is that we're together, we're safe, we're healthy, and we move forward. So happy holidays to all. Thank you guys for joining us. You've been watching Table Talk.